Well, hello, and welcome to ChefShock. Welcome also to my actual kitchen. That's right, ChefShock, shockingly real, shockingly delicious. Well, and just plain shocking because nobody does this. I'm really stoked to get this started. Thank you so much for joining us on our very first episode. I'm still working out exactly how all of this works, but I think we're going to be able to get her done. Joining me tonight and hanging out in the chat, we've got Kelsey and Jen, and they have cool costumes. Yeah, check them out. I think we got like a hipster Ariel?
Or whatever.
Wow, she was at a whole new world before it was cool. And then we got 11, yeah, Elle?
Yep.
Wow, from Stranger Things. How about that show? It really took over, didn't it? I'm not in costume because this is my very first live show, and I wanted to be me. So insert whatever you would describe me as, that's my costume. And without further ado, I think we're gonna cook. Tonight we're gonna make meatloaf. That's right, we're gonna make meatloaf with mashed potatoes, and we're gonna make meatloaf with some string beans or haricots verts if you're fancy. Now, unlike any other cooking show, we're gonna start with all raw products. So that means plenty of ground meat. We're using 80-20 ground beef. You could use sirloin, you could use chuck, you could use whatever you want. Now the question is, why are we making meatloaf tonight? Hey, thank you for doing what you just did. That's exciting. I love that reward. It's so gratifying. It's like Pavlovian. I don't know why we invented Meatless Monday on Monday. Mondays are already lame. Why would you not like eat meat? I would rather have like, I don't know, Vegetarian Wednesday, which we have. So come back Wednesday and we'll have an entirely meatless meal. Here we have our haricots verts. That's 16 ounces. An onion. My dad used to say that any good meal begins with an onion. We've got some dill, a very polarizing ingredient. If you're John Oliver, who I happen to be a little bit of a fan of, you would know that I called you out on Twitter about your disdain of dill, which I think, quite frankly, is un-American. But then again, John Oliver is not American, so it doesn't matter. Here we have potatoes. These are for our mashed potatoes. We've got two kinds of potato. Let me unearth them. That was a tuber joke. And you can see the two kinds. We'll get into why in just a few. More garlic, because after all, it's Halloween. We've got some provolone cheese, a carrot. I call these horse carrots. You know, they're just like way too big. They're the kind that you feed horses. So we got a medium-sized horse carrot. And then we have some shallots. Onions with a PhD. I think that's what Mark Twain said, except it was about cabbage and lettuce. Let's get the kitchen set up now that we've got the ingredients unpacked. I'm gonna get the cheese and the meat refrigerated. I like to keep these things cold so that they maintain not only their integrity in terms of, well, bacterially, but also the texture of cheese. It starts to sweat when it gets warm. What the hell? Dude, did you leave your phone in here? This was supposed to be for episode 2. Here you go. Wow. All right, so, the kitchen. We gotta get it set up. First things first, let's preheat the oven. We're gonna put that at 375. That's a little high for a meatloaf, but there's a reason for that. Oh man, I love that click. It's so gratifying when it clicks and you can just hear, like, I'm your oven. I'm here to work. It's like it clocked in on time. That's the best. Next, we're gonna get some water boiling. So I got a big pot here. I think this is a 9-quart or 9-liter pot. Nothing really special, it's stainless steel. I'm gonna get that going about halfway with water. And I'll salt it because I hate waiting for water to boil. So we're gonna do all of this heating stuff in advance. This is all kind of part of mise en place. Mise en place, peanut gallery.
Get your shit in a row.
Yeah, exactly. Well said.
Prepared, y'all.
Yeah, a very fancy French term for having one's ducks in a row, or literally everything in its place. My mentor, Alton Brown, said that organization will set you free. Look at that. Ooh, look at the, we got our own little hipster Ariel there. I didn't know she was going to be in the frame, but I guess she is. All right, maybe I'm going to fill this pot like halfway, 3/4. Water pressure in Brooklyn, let me tell you, not the best. But that's all right, it'll get there. After that, I'm going to fill up the sink with about a quarter of the way with dishwater. That way we've got a nice place to clean things up. Are there any questions while the water's filling up? Fire away, now's your time. Yeah! Gang, anybody got any questions? People saying anything, or are they just...
Somebody asked about baby carrots.
Oh,
You
baby
just use
carrots?
those instead?
Yeah, you know, you could use baby carrots instead of this, but the thing that I really don't like about baby carrots, and frankly freaks me out, is that baby carrots are like 1, 2, 3 of this. All they do is they shave off the outside, probably turn it into juice, and then produce baby carrots. Baby carrots are actually hulled from the big horse carrots. If you want to pay for baby carrots, be my guest. If you love burning money fast, some people do. It's the millennial thing after all. Or if for some reason this just intimidates you, I understand. But in general, I would use this good guy, especially for an application like Meatloaf, where the appearance and that already washed integrity doesn't really matter so much. All right, we got that on high. You bet we do. All right, I'm gonna add a little salt. This is my salt pig. If we get enough subscribers, maybe you'll get a little salt pig emote. How about that? There we have it. Kosher salt. I don't know if everybody knows the difference between kosher salt and table salt, but table salt is a very fine crystal. And so the problem with that is that you have more salt per square inch. If I grab a pinch of table salt and I throw it on something, there will actually be more salt than the kosher salt because this, like down to the micron, is bigger. Nifty, huh? Learn something new every day. So we got our water going. Let's get some dishwater. The reason we need dishwater going is because I like to clean my tools, or like say this grater that I left in here, as we're going. That's right, my scrub brush is just like your scrub brush. Cruddy. Then we got some antibacterial soap. I like using antibacterial soap in my dishwater, but not on my hands. And that is because of restaurants. When I was working in restaurants, the vast majority of dishwashers are actually chemically sanitized as opposed to temperature sanitized. And we all know that this washing machine is probably not going to temperature sanitize anything. All right, so I think we can start making the meatloaf now that we've got our soapy dishwater working. I'll wash my hands while we're at it. Solid minute. You never know what you're going to pick up in the New York City subway. Let me tell you. Stay. Sometimes that thing doesn't want to behave. All right. So here I have a washed dish towel. I'm going to set this out over here for any wet applications. You know, some things we're going to want to land here when we drain them. Some dishes are going to get washed and we'll want a place for them to drain as well. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to make the dry components of the meatloaf. And we can do that in a bowl. We can do it in a food processor. But myself, I'm going to do it in a zip top bag. Notice I don't say the other word. And that's because they don't pay me to. Zip top. Boom. Now we're going to get some croutons. Croutons basically take the place of stale bread, but this is not the Great Depression, and I don't really have stale bread just laying around. So we're going to use these Good Guy croutons. The cool thing about these Good Guy croutons is that they're also like chemically engineered to be super delicious. I mean, when was the last time you had butter and garlic bread, stale, just floating around? Probably never. So I guess the idea is these are awesome, and I, once again, got this idea from Alton Brown. Oh, hey, somebody's keeping the lights on. Look at that, that's a fish. You know what kind of fish that is? It's a dabs. It's a dabs. Oh my gosh, someone's keeping the lights on. Literally, that was actually a dab. That fish is actually a dab. It's delicious eating. You can get it off the coast of San Diego. It's also like a hip hop dance move. And it's also one of my favorite fish to catch in Animal Crossing. Another note in terms of housekeeping, I normally store my trash can over here. But today, since I'm cooking, I store my trash can right here next to my cutting board. And cutting board, I can slide it right off and put things into the trash can, just like so. How about them apples? So I want about 6 ounces of croutons. This is a 5-ounce package. That looks like a lot, but whatevs. then we'll save the rest of these for later. Maybe we'll add them to the bibimbap on Friday. Who knows? All right. Boom. All right, now to this, we're gonna add some more seasoning agents, our spices. And we keep these in the spice section. Here we go. Chili powder. We're gonna use this chili powder to bring kind of some like roasty, toasty, outside of a New Mexican Walmart sort of flavors. If you've ever been out there when they're roasting the chilies, I guess it's kind of towards the end of the summer, they roast the hatch chilies out there in New Mexico. And this smell just like permeates the air. Super fiery, but also very like kind of umami, like a base note sort of flavor. I love it. On the contrary, way up here in herbaceous fresh town, we've got thyme. Thyme is really great in super savory applications. When you've got meatloaf, like rich umami meatloaf, you want thyme. When you have duck breast, you want to use thyme. Would you use thyme would you say that's like one of the best like savory herbs?
Yes.
Yeah, it goes with like everything.
Yeah? Great answer, guys.
It's great on poultry, yeah, for sure.
All right, then down here, for heat, we've got cayenne. This says ground red pepper, whatever. I don't think of chili powder as being overly spicy. Maybe you do, but nothing compared to cayenne. This is the stuff that you make the bombs like to throw at people, like in Three Ninjas Kick Back. You remember that? Three Ninjas? Anybody? Anybody? Oh man, they take coffee filters and they make spice bombs and throw them at people.
I don't remember that part of the movie.
Am I like totally
I
dating
don't
myself right
remember
now? Oh well.
I do remember them running across water.
That's good. Sigh. All right, moving on. Ooh, lots of hatch smoking in Texas too. Thanks for validating me. I appreciate it. So we're gonna measure these out, and I'm gonna briefly refresh myself on the measurements because normally I would probably freestyle these things. So let's see here. I'm gonna measure the thyme first because I don't really care too much if cayenne mixes with chili powder, but I really don't want thyme in those other applications. Looks like I didn't have the time to use this before. Nailed it. All right, let's pop this sucker open. Oh man, fresh as the day she was born and subsequently desiccated. All right, so for thyme, I'm gonna do like 1 teaspoon, which is, you guessed it, 2 half teaspoons. Oh, nailed it. That was awesome. I know I'm gonna get some fail fish for that. What else? Just gonna have to deal, I guess. All right, so we're done with the thyme. Now we're gonna do a half teaspoon of cayenne. You see I got these zip tied together. I got rid of the original ring that came with them and I just used a zip tie. It gives you a little bit more flexibility in terms of maneuvering. I don't know, it works better for me. I'm less likely to lose them or unhook them. So about a half teaspoon there. You're gonna wanna level that out. You don't wanna go overboard with cayenne, especially if your mom's coming to dinner. All right. Then next we're gonna do a teaspoon of the chili pea. It's my secret ingredient. Just kidding. I tried making that joke in a television show once and it didn't really go over too well. But I'm sure with you all, Breaking Bad fans, it'll work just fine. All right, the chili pea. Whoa, that's good stuff. Someday we'll probably make our own chili pea, but that's not for this episode. You hear that sound? That was that good guy oven letting me know it's preheated. It clocked in. Great job. So now we retire these spices. One thing I really like to point out when you're cooking at home is to put stuff away. Try not to spread out all over the place and leave things all over. It's easy to do, especially if you're in a hurry, but luckily we have plenty of time. Oh yeah, see this? This is one of my favorite things, especially when it's just going straight into the, thank you for subscribing. This is my handy dandy Alton Brown Live Eat Your Science Tour bench scraper. And what this does is it really cleans off the countertop, my cutting board really well without having to say dull my blade. A lot of people, even on pro cooking shows, you'll see people using their blade to shovel stuff up and put it from one place to another. And if you love ruining knives, that's a great way to do it. But for me, not exactly the way to go. Another little thing that I like to do here is I like to collect and store deli containers or That went straight in the trash. These little things that you get from like your average takeout place, they come in quarts and pints. And I think I even have some half pints down here. Oh yeah, we do. You know darn well that like red sauce that comes with the crab cheese wontons, you know darn well it came in this guy. You know that the hot and sour soup came in here. And then you know the big hot and sour soup came in this guy. So that's, I save these things in order to work with mise en place. So I'll cut my stuff, I'll put it in one of these according to the size, yada yada. But what these are great for is that they're disposable. I didn't have to pay for them, and they're very easily washed. They're really good at not holding odors. And you all have restaurant experience.
Yeah.
Tell me, are these not in every single restaurant?
Absolutely, they're perfect. I mean, we use them as cups to drink out of.
Right?
Yeah. I buy them online in bulk just because I always use them or somehow lose them all the time.
Well, yeah, when they're quasi-disposable, you just don't feel bad, you know? I feel worse when I'm like throwing away like my venti iced coffee cup, you know? I'm sorry, my 20-ounce iced coffee cup, than I do about throwing away a quart of my own cold brew. You know what I'm saying? All right, so we're gonna cut this onion. Maybe you know how to cut an onion, maybe you don't. But this is a nice little time to learn because cutting an onion can be dangerous and it can be dumb. And the goal here of ChefShock is to do neither of those things. No dumb, no dangerous. Totally delicious. We just made that up, that's branding, okay? So the first thing we're gonna do, and I'm gonna cut this off to the angle so that you guys, that's you guys, have a good view. I'm gonna take this top end off. So we're just gonna use the knife. You don't have to be too gentle, just cut right through there. We're gonna throw this stuff away. If you want, you can throw it in the compost. Luckily, I have minions that can sort my compost from my trash later. Then we're gonna cut it in half this way. Like that, and see how we're leaving the root attached? The root is where all of these things connect. And so we need to leave that intact in order to get a good cut on this onion. This also makes peeling this outer layer, which like everybody struggles with comedically, so much easier. Man, we're making all sorts of cool sounds over there. Great. So the most difficult cut of cutting an onion, if you're going to dice it, which is what we're going to do, is this cut. And it goes this way. But if you're gentle about it, and you're not crazy, and your knife is reasonably sharp, everything will be just fine. So I like to keep my fingers right up top there, and I like to start on the side, right there at that angle, and then work my knife in. I'm gonna come cut it from back here so you can get a good angle. Then I like to saw at it until I go about halfway through. Now if I start crying, it's because of the onion or the knife. Wow, thanks for doing that. People are following? Gosh. I'm like overwhelmed. It's like my first date is going successfully. Haven't experienced that in a long time, let me tell you. So when we're cutting it like this, if you start crying, it's either because your knife is dull or the onion is especially oniony. The reason I like cutting onions with a knife as opposed to, say, in a food processor is because what we're doing with a nice sharp knife is we're cleaving the cells open, which makes for a nice clean cut versus ripping the cells open. Think about the difference between like a sniper shot of onion and a shotgun blast of onion. I'll take the sniper, that's just me. If you're into shotgun blast of onion, go on ahead and put it in a food processor, you freak. All right. So now we're gonna cut this way. And some of the little oniony bits are gonna go all over the place, but you don't have to worry about it. So I'm gonna go like so. Notice I got my fingers curved away. If this at all feels dangerous, for the love of God, don't do it. Or call someone who can. That'll be our next project. Just like so. You see how I tried not to cut all the way to the back there? Close, but not all the way. Ta-da! That's a little oniony bit. So from here, now we can cut this way, and you will see it makes nice little squares. Oh my goodness, isn't it pretty? Look at that. Now these guys, I could go deeper on that if we wanted to. I'm personally not going to because I like to save these for things like stock. So we'll save that. This will be our little scrap pile. We can also use the carrot peelings when I get there. And now we're going to do the whole thing again, but I'm going to do it just a little bit speedier because I already taught you how to do it. these big pieces that drive me nuts. We'll put those in the little stock area. All right, while I'm cutting this onion, are there any questions?
Yeah, we have a couple.
Fire, fire, fire.
Someone wants to know, can you use ground turkey in place of the ground beef in this recipe?
You know, you can use ground turkey. Here are my problems with ground turkey. It's generally a lot leaner. We're going to get into it eventually, but the thing that makes things truly delicious is fat. I know, controversial, but fat is what makes things stick to your mouth and give you that real like flavor of goodness. We're kind of like genetically predisposed to want fat because it's one of the most calorically dense things that we can consume. So that's why we love fat. It's not because it's good, it's because we crave it from like a primal level. So I would add some fat to your ground turkey in some way, shape, or form in order to make it taste extra delicious. Myself personal, I don't make food that's non-delicious, but if you're into it, omit bacon or omit something else. What I would use turkey for is to like say make a burger, or I would enhance it with a lot of seasonings, flavoring compounds if you're specifically looking to cut out fat. I am never looking to cut out fat. Next. Did that answer that? Was that all right?
I'd say so.
Thanks.
Do you have a favorite knife brand?
I do have a favorite knife brand, and they're the knives that I'm using currently. And that is at least for home knives. I don't have any professional knives anymore because I don't have a restaurant anymore. But I like to use Shun. Some people say Shun. I don't know. I have them all here. They don't pay me to say that yet. But they work really great, and they've got a really good like program in terms of like warranty, sharpening, all of that stuff. I really like them. You know, I think most home cooks that have worked professionally will tell you that that's a sound decision. I don't know.
We have another question. What is the best meat replacement for vegetarian meatloaf?
Meat replacement for vegetarian meatloaf. Now that's a good question. Myself personal, I would probably use a mix of like say jackfruit and maybe like, I don't know, tempeh.
Whoa,
Walnuts and mushrooms, maybe?
Yeah, definitely adding walnuts and mushrooms, absolutely. The question for me is how you're going to get like a binder, you know?
Yeah.
I'm in my book, this one. I make a pretty decent vegetarian chili with mushroom powder and walnuts, which I think works just fine. The question is, how are you going to bind all of that together? I think you're going to end up going in the like TVP, textured vegetable protein territory. Which is not really one of my favorite places to go, but you know, you got to do what you got to do if you're not going to eat meat. And I definitely identify. I'm married to a what I call an opportunitarian. You know, if Thomas Keller is going to prepare squab, she might take a bite. But in general, she and this household, we prefer to kind of stay more plant-based. So I hear you. All right, now it's time to deal with some garlic. Man, it's getting hot in here. Water's working. We're doing just great. Now it's time to deal with garlic. You can tell me any number of ways that you want to attack garlic or things that you've seen on Pinterest or what have you. But for me, I do garlic one way, and that's the way that I do it. And it can be a little messy, but that's just how I do it. I don't like shaking things in bowls and all that sort of stuff. I find that those results are like haphazard. And sometimes you don't get what you want out of it. Wow, these are big cloves of garlic. Sometimes when you're in the store, especially like the day that you're going to go live in front of everyone, you just grab whatever you can and you don't even notice how big and massive these garlics are. Dope. I'm into it. Thanks for following. All right, so I don't know. We've got like 6 big cloves. I think I'm going to reserve 2 for our meatloaf. And I think I'm going to reserve 4 for our mashed potatoes. Because after all, it's Halloween. I've got to keep the vampires away. I've got like a neat little dry storage area for this stuff. You know, speaking of the stock thing here, when you make stock, and some people are going to roll over, like Antoine Carême, the chef of all bosses and the boss of all chefs, he's probably rolling over in his grave when I do this. But these things, they actually have a lot of flavor in them when you're making stock. It's kind of like if you ever make a seafood stock, a lot of times you'll use like the shell of the lobster or the shell of the shrimp. I like to think of these as being like the shell of the garlic. I'm gonna go put these in my dry storage area, also known as over there. Finished with that. Guess we don't need this, man. We'll keep that just to ward off the vamps. All right, now here's how I do garlic, and I'm sure you've seen this on television or on any of the other wonderful Twitch creative food streams. I like to crush the garlic just like so, peel the paper off, set it aside. Some people will say this makes it harder to dice. Some people will say, no, it doesn't. Some people will say, hey, you just told me to use a knife on onions, aren't you? By crushing the garlic, aren't you making more of that garlicky flavor come out? Maybe. But I don't know, you know, chef doesn't really mean cook. Chef means chief. Chef means boss. And right now, I'm in charge of this. And so when you're cooking, I would hope that you would approach this the same way and just say, you know what, forget that guy, Justin Warner. Can you give me a little lower thirds here, says Justin Warner? Man, I love this show. How great is that? That looks awesome. But you know, when you have your own little lower third, oh really? When you have your own little lower third, you can make your garlic however you want. I think as long as it gets into the recipe, no one's gonna beat you up for it. It is, however, a very different story when you're, say, like cooking on a competitive cooking show or something like that, in which case you're gonna wanna do this as quickly as possible. All right, so now it's garlic time. Garlic's a little different from the onion, but in basically the same thing. I'm gonna do this once to bisect it. If it's especially thick, you know, and you're really feeling your knife skills, go on ahead and cut it as many times that way as you can. And then we're gonna do the same thing, noting that the base of it is right here. And then I'm just gonna do the exact same thing that we did with the onion. Some people would say, why don't you grate the garlic? Why don't you press the garlic? And I don't know, man, there's just something about it. I always like the flavor of diced garlic better. And who doesn't really want the opportunity to practice their knife skills? Knife skills are like what make us. So you got that guy. How's everybody feel about garlic? I feel like garlic actually is like one of the most overplayed things in modern culinaria. People just like go willy-nilly with garlic. I feel like it's just like bacon. Oh, now I'm not making any friends, but just like bacon, I feel like it's like a WWE finishing move. Like, oh, from the top rope with the garlic. Does that make sense? I don't know. It just drives me nuts. I feel like garlic didn't really want the spotlight. It just wanted to chill, man.
How do you feel about fried garlic?
You know, I love fried garlic, although it is super ubiquitous. It's everywhere these days. Everybody's like, oh, I'm gonna throw a little fried garlic on that. But I don't know, I like fried garlic as opposed to other weird fried things that people put on like restaurant plates. I feel like everybody's like sun-choke chips. Sun-choke chips just, they drive me nuts. They're good sometimes, but I feel like they're overplayed. Anybody in the audience have any experience with sun-choke chips?
Sun-choke chips, anybody?
Yeah, oh damn.
Not me.
I dropped the
No
garlic.
idea.
Well, luckily I kept another one. Sunchoke chips. Sunchoke's also known as the Jerusalem artichoke. They're like, I don't know, everybody's really into them here in New York. Oh man, gotta love a garlic that looks like that. Let's get another one. I gotta tell you, this is the most refreshing thing about doing this live is like seeing a rotten garlic that happens in everyone's life. I don't know, it's very validating to me because I always struggle with like, man, everybody looks so perfect when they cook, and I really think that perfection really has no place in the kitchen. Drives me nuts. All right, so now we got another garlic. One that hasn't seen the end of days. Oh man. Something strange and technical. Can you still hear me? I think I just sweated off my microphone. Stand by.
Oh, look at that. Oh, God.
Wow, I'm glad we're off camera
That
for
is-
this. You
that
do
is-
not want to see this.
That
Let
is
me.
gross.
I'm gonna
Let me
narrate.
tell
He
you.
has his hand up his shirt, and he
I need
is
to get another
adjusting
piece of
the
gas.
mic.
Stand
What
by.
happens if I press this button? Whoa! Stand by. Yeah, I'm over here, off to the side, getting retaped up. I just want to make sure everybody hears me.
It's our first episode, everyone. First episode. Stand by, stand by.
If only it could be like, you know, Deus Ex. You guys ever play that game, Deus Ex, where the guy's got augs? If I could get a microphone auged into me, that would be awesome.
Oh.
A little bit better there.
Well, while we got some downtime while I'm getting taped up.
That should do it.
That should do it. Great. All right.
And we're back.
Yeah. I'm going to mow through this garlic real quick, and I'm going to put it in 2 little separate mise en place areas. Has anybody been watching the Overwatch World Cup? It's been really bananas, and I'm a pretty big Overwatch junkie these days. If you follow me on my little private Twitcheroo, you will see that I am a little bonkers about it. I'm not good by any means, but I don't know, man. Something about that game has got me by the short and curlies, you know. But yeah, the Overwatch World Cup has just been insane. Just seen so many like super amazing moves. I watched like this. I forget who the player was, but man, this Tracer like threw a little pulse bomb like right down this like crowded hallway and just wrecked everybody. Been seeing a lot of really good Ana plays. I really wasn't the biggest, I don't know, proponent of Ana, but there you go. I really wasn't the biggest proponent of Ana until I really started getting played with by pros. That was great. So yeah, I'm basically doing the same thing with the garlic. If you make big chunks of garlic, don't worry about it. They're pretty much going to dissolve once they get into the meatloaf. Nobody's going to know any difference. The same when we add this garlic to the mashed potatoes. You know, no one's ever going to see this. My mother used to have this quote on the wall that used to say, "My work perishes with the doing." And sometimes I think that that's a really fun way to look at cooking. Is like, you're putting all this effort and all of this love and all of this emotion to make this really tiny garlic that probably nobody is going to notice, but that's all right. You notice, and it's in you. And I don't know, these are the kind of things that like power me through the day. Great, look at all that. We're not going to get vamped tonight, let me tell you. So I'm going to take about 2/3 of this, if my math is right. I'll leave that to all you smart people. And I'm going to reserve that. That's going to go in our mashed potatoes. And then I'm going to get all this other garlicky stuff off my board. And I'm probably going to go over here and wash my hands real fast. Something about it, man. Nothing sticks to your hands like garlic. You know what really funny... What the heck was that? Oh, my poster just fell off the wall. One of the funniest pranks in the world would be garlic-flavored envelopes. Why don't they have those?
That is so mean. That is so mean.
I think it's great.
But just to like put one like in a coworker's desk or
I would
something,
start
if you have a
crying.
real job, that would be hilarious. Like one garlic-flavored envelope in the 60 of them. Oh man. All right, I think it's time to. Oh, you know what? We got to deal with this carrot. It's not meat time yet. Let's get out a peeler. We're gonna need this brush eventually. And then here's our grater. If you have a box grater will work as well. That's one of the ones that are shaped like this. Personally, I don't love them because I can't fit them in a drawer. That drives me nuts. I like to keep everything in my little drawers here. But yeah, so I use this grater and then I'll use a fine grater for something else. I also like this shape of peeler. I call it a Y peeler. I don't know if anyone else calls this a Y peeler, but to me it's shaped like a Y. And I've got this cool little Japanese version that also has this textured surface here that lets you grate ginger or wasabi or whatever. And this thing also works like a dream on carrots. Some people may say, Justin, you haven't washed the thing yet. Why don't you wash your vegetables? And you know, I think it's a personal choice, really. Some people might say that God made dirt and dirt don't hurt. And some people might say, that's terrible. But man, I don't really think it'd be the most entertaining stream to see me washing vegetables when personally in my own kitchen, I do not do it. Do not do that if you don't think it's a good idea. I'm sure my lawyer's having a fit right now. But yeah, man, I just don't do it. And look, I came out pretty all right, if I do say so myself. So look at all this, man. We definitely have like the workings of some stock. We'll add like a couple ribs of celery in there, and we're pretty much good to go. I'm pretty excited about that. Who knows where that'll find itself. Let's store that off to the side for now. And now it's time to grate our carrot. This is going to be great.
thoughts about the Nintendo Switch?
Oh, do I have thoughts about the Nintendo Switch? Wow. Yeah, as long as we're breaking open sores. No, I think the Switch is going to be great. I'm a huge Nintendo junkie, as you can tell. I once got the opportunity to make squids for the director of PR at Nintendo, David Young, a very cool dude. That was when we were celebrating Splatoon. You can find that in the deep web somewhere. But yeah, anyway, I'm really excited about the Switch. I think personally that portability is key, at least for me. And I think in this day and age, like, people are absolutely sick and tired of having to give up playing games. Like, I know I am. I absolutely hate it when I have to stop playing because something else. And I think it's just a really smart move to have the exact same game with a ton of portability. I'm sold. You know what I mean? I'm just totally sold on it. If I could, like, you know, I look at Pokemon Go, for example, and Pokemon Go. Now, I know some people live not in New York, and I know that I'm fortunate to live in New York and to play Pokemon Go in New York. But, man, the community got so intense with Pokemon Go. There's this area, the southeastern corner of Central Park, and even to this day, it is still crawling with people playing Pokemon Go. And I just loved it because it was like this awesome opportunity to go out and meet people and hang out and freak out when Snorlax showed up and take over 60th Street and like absolutely block traffic with our human bodies staring at our phones. But yeah, it was epic, and I think the Switch is really going to kind of bring all of that together. I'd love if I could just like show up somewhere and be like, hey guys, I got my Switch, you want to play some Splatoon, you want to play some whatever. I think it would be dope. Like, I don't know. I don't really care about backwards compatibility. I have almost every Nintendo system ever made, so that's not really a big deal to me. I don't know. Switch is pretty cool.
How about your highest CP Pokemon or your favorite Pokemon?
Should we find out?
We're gonna look.
I live right by the Ronald McDonald House, so everyone sets lures in front of that so that the kids who are stuck in the bed can still catch Pokemon without having to leave and sick kids. It is. It's like it's the cutest.
Aww. Aww. Hold on, my Gengar screen is loading up. How exciting is that? I'll be honest, I only have 2 Pokemon, other than the international ones, left to catch, which really thrills me to no end, obviously, that my Pokedex is that filled up. Right now I'm only missing Dragonite, of course, and Charizard, but I'm going to straight up brag when I say that I'm only at level 24. I'm about to get to level 25. So that means that I honestly think for people that have almost completed the dex, as I am about to, I'm doing pretty good. Right now, sadly, I think my highest, no, I must have some that are dead. Hold on, let's check the revives here. Oh man, that's only Executor? What a loser. Alright, buy CP. Check it out. We're gonna go in here and check it out. Don't worry about my busted phone. Look at that. Can you even see it? Probably not. But yeah, up there we've got Executor at 1988, Lapras at 1926, Gyarados at 1878. I mean, I think it's pretty fly. Oh, this is something cool. I keep this guy, Jibanyan, up on top of the camera so that I know where to stare. Stay up there, little buddy. I know today's your day to run around, what with you being dead. All right, great. All right, so now we can get Meaty. At least I think so. Let's double check the run a show here. And you're darn tootin' we can. Meat. When we mix the meatloaf, we're gonna need a big bowl. And I got one right here. Nothing special, stainless steel. I like to use about 2 pounds of meatloaf. It looks like here I have like, I don't know, 2.5 plus. So I'm just gonna open this good guy up, plop it in there, and then I'm probably gonna do about, I don't know, half-ish of this guy. And we'll get another one of these containers going. And we'll just save the rest of this for later. Maybe we'll make some, I don't know, some chilaquiles in the morning or something like that. Somebody's gonna have to clean that up. Great, meat. I'll probably go cover it airtight once you guys aren't watching. All right, we got our meatloaf, our ground beef rather, in the bowl. Now we need to get the wet works in here, which is largely gonna be eggs. but we got to do some work on that egg stuff first. We need 2 eggs. Let me get myself one more little container over here. I'm using free-range eggs. One of my favorite ways to crack an egg, let's make sure that everybody can see. It's dangerous a little bit, but I don't know, there's something really fun about it. Ready? On the other egg. Look at that, no shell, no muss, no fuss. All right, the next one we're gonna separate because I actually need a little egg white, and we're gonna use the egg white to kind of make that crust on the outside of the meatloaf. I absolutely like the crustiness of the outside of the meatloaf. I think that's the best part. That's like the stuff that you pay for, you know, at the roadside meatloaf places. Like a Cracker Barrel. I feel like that's a good place to get meatloaf. They don't pay me to say that. Oh, damn. I just put the egg white in the wrong place. That's all right. That's okay. We got this shell here, and that'll actually just scoop that yolk right up. No, no, no. Everything's okay. Don't worry. And then just a little bit of the white, and then we'll save the rest of that for brushing on. That's great. That way we get 2 egg yolks into our meatloaf, and that'll make it super rich and decadent. I feel like egg yolk is just like nature's sauce. It's free, you know? All you have to do is buy an egg and you get free sauce. Does that make sense? You guys are both egg fanatics, right?
I love eggs.
I like them best as a meringue.
Ooh, best as a meringue.
I'm a huge fan of egg yolk porn.
Well, you put eggs on everything.
I put
We
eggs on
all have our
everything.
thing.
But I got it.
Sweet. All right, so we got 1 egg and 1 yolk. Let's get a fork and beat that up together so that we're not getting a little bit of scrambled egg in like random places in the meatloaf. You see how helpful these little containers are? Man, I just love them. Just hook an egg into my veins. Wow. That's some intense egg devotion, let me tell you. That actually sounds like a Meatloaf lyric. And maybe I'm dating myself, but anybody out there a Meatloaf fan? 'Cause I would do anything for eggs, but I won't do that. Dun, 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 dun. That's the best. All right, so we got our egg in there. I don't know if you noticed, but we're kind of freestyling on these ratios here at this point. Personally, I think that's the...
Posters down.
Posters down. I think that's the only way to cook. Some people are very by the book. I think if you're baking, I think that's absolutely the way to go. But this recipe and most of the things in it are all what I call blunt force ingredients. It really doesn't matter how hard you hit as long as you're hitting. Does that make sense? Garlic's in. Got our the rest of our works here. Carrot, onion. I maybe don't need all of that, so we'll save it. We'll see what it looks like. And now the fun begins. Remember this guy? We're gonna make like a bad rap song and beat it up. It's really important that you don't have a bunch of air in here because otherwise this will explode, and what with the chili pea and the cayenne in there, you really don't want it. I made a video once where I made my own chili pea and I accidentally inhaled it. You could do this in the blender if you want, but I don't know, this is more fun and I don't really want to have to clean the blender, even though my blender cleans really easily. It's also just something great about beating stuff up in a bag. This rolling pin is great too. It's metal, and that's so that I can freeze it and it conducts heat, or rather the lack thereof. And that's really super helpful for when you're making pastry dough. Wouldn't you say? Nice cold rolling pin.
Absolutely.
From Kelsey Pastry. I'm gonna get this really pulverized. So I'm gonna work at it a little more. You can see the shake down here at the bottom. I like to loosen that up every now and then so that you can really see what you're working with. Focus on those big bits. I also think that big bits are kind of good for texture. Some people would say pulverize this whole thing. But I like to know, to be able to see that my food is made out of food. And that it's not just like one brick of food.
Justin, we have someone asking, what are your thoughts on baking meatloaf in muffin tins?
You know, if I was gonna be on a competitive cooking show or something like that, or if I wanted my meatloaf to be super cute, I would definitely use muffin tins. You know, you're gonna cut the cook time of this down to like a sixth, basically, if you've got a 6-pan mini muffin tin. I also think that's great for like portioning and stuff. But for tonight's application, I'm just gonna do it in a big wad on a sheet, because it's Meaty Monday, you know, not minuscule or muffin Monday. Yeah, I hope that works. But yeah, in general, like, man, when you're on like a cooking competition and you have like a big red clock over your head that says make the meatloaf, you definitely grab the muffin tins. That's for sure the way to go. All right, let's see how we're doing here. Oh man, that looks great. And I'm gonna save all this and mix and save and mix and save and add a little bit more of all the components as we see fit. Don't tell my wife, but I hate it when ground beef gets underneath my wedding ring. Ooh, gross. All right, so now we're gonna use our hands and mix this up. We're gonna break up the meat, but try not to slam it together. You kind of want to leave your meatloaf as like loosely packed as possible. That way that you have a lot of space internally for juices and whatnot to swim around. Would you say that's like a good burger is very like lightly packed? You know, you want your meat to be stuck together, but also practically falling apart.
Yeah, I don't like meatballs or burgers that are like too dense or too chewy.
Yeah, we just tried the Heston Blumenthal in Search of Perfection, where you grind the meat into the strands, make it just a circle and slice it. You don't even pack it at all.
Really?
Yep.
Whew.
Sounds delicious.
I sense a challenge.
That's another episode, let me tell you. Yeah.
Burgers.
Heston Blumenthal, I'll show you. No, I got mad respect, man. If it weren't for Blumenthal, I wouldn't even be in this business, to be frank. I really wouldn't. All right, so we got this all mixed together. Now I'm gonna kind of separate it out a little bit in the bowl. And that's because we haven't added any salt to this at all, other than the minuscule amount that's probably in the croutons. I'm gonna add just a little more of this. And this is sticking together real good off of just that little bit of egg. I'm gonna go down here in my antibacterial soap, since I was handling some raw meat. In general, I am not phobic of these things. I would actually eat this meatloaf mix raw right now. But I know that for some people that's absolutely terrifying. So OMG Heston, he is very experimental. You're totally right, he is. That's why he's my dude. I haven't met him ever, actually. So one thing I like to talk about when we're making meatloaf is that it is susceptible to being undersalted. I could do this by the half teaspoon, by the teaspoon, whatever. I'll measure it just for your sake, but really I eyeball this because I would much rather have a meatloaf that is a little salty and totally delicious than a meatloaf that tastes like bread with meat in it. That's not good meatloaf at all. So we're really gonna season the heck out of this. We got a lot of bread in here and a lot of fat. Remember, this is 80-20. And for fat to taste good, we really need salt. And so I'm seasoning the heck out of it. It's almost like 2 teaspoons, maybe, dare I go 2.5? Pow. Approaching 3 teaspoons, which is almost a tablespoon. Don't tell mom. Now we're gonna add some black pepper. With the best pepper grinder known to man. Shout out to my buddy George who gave me this. Help me, Pepper-Wan Kenobi. I'm gonna be careful. I'm gonna blow all of my jokes in the first episode. All right. Aw, man, you know, we didn't call for it in the ingredients list, but I would love to throw me some fish sauce in here since it's sitting over there next to all of my staple seasoning agents. What do you think? Should we throw some fish sauce in? Or would that mess up your whole day? Because I didn't tell you to buy fish sauce. We'll save it for another day, all right. Fish sauce is good stuff. So now we're gonna season this, we're gonna mix this up one more time. Just kind of folding it in on itself, making sure everything is united. I feel like when you make a meatloaf, it's very much like making like a pasta dough, which we'll be making tomorrow, in that it kind of tells you when it's had enough. This is like, you can see that some of the breadcrumbs are starting to fall out. It's just saying, hey, look, dude, I got enough in me. I'm already a meatloaf. All you gotta do is cook me and I'll be ready to rock. All right, I think now it's time to assemble the meatloaf. We can retire this. What else can we retire? We can retire Mr. Fork. Kick that thing out of the way. All right, we got a brush right there. Spoon's doing good. Let's assemble some meatloaf. Now here we got a pan that would never make it onto normal television. And that's perfectly fine by me because I've used this pan 100 times and so has my grandma, you insensitive. Anyway. So we're gonna put some parchment paper down. Hopefully. In a non-perfect way. Parchment's gonna live just like that. And I don't know if you can directly pick up what I'm throwing down just yet, but we're gonna cut this parchment paper. Just like so.
Justin, do you rub mayonnaise on the outside to get a good crust?
You know, you actually could rub mayonnaise on the outside to get a crust, and I think that's a splendid idea for your own kitchen. I would do that in a pinch if I didn't feel like separating out some egg white for on the crust. Whoever's putting mayonnaise on the crust, I think is great. I have a tattoo, literally, of mayonnaise. This is my favorite brand. It's Kewpie. Literally my favorite brand. My dog is named Kewpie. And so yeah, I'm totally into it. I'm gonna put egg white on it. What is mayonnaise if not plenty of egg yolk? To me, it's eggs are eggs are eggs. And I think it's a great idea. Let's start forming this meatloaf. Now, because it's a special occasion, I'm not just gonna make any meatloaf. We're gonna make a really special meatloaf. We're gonna start with about, I don't know, a little more than half of it up here, like so. And like I said, we don't want to press too much. I'm going to start with kind of a tapered end down here, and then we're going to get a little wider. And I'm going to make a nice little indentation there, like so. Then we're going to take the rest and we're going to kind of divide it, I don't know, I want to say into rough fifths, maybe. I'm going to add that like that. Then we're going to take this guy. Yeah, not your average meatloaf, right? Well, that's why you signed up. Like so. You guys know where we're going with this? That's right. We're going to make a meatloaf hand. Because it's all the rage on the internet. And because it's Halloween. And I'm totally into it. You know, another great thing about making a meatloaf hand here on Twitch is that I probably wouldn't be able to do this on the average television show. So thank you for allowing me this opportunity. I got to reposition that thumb right there, man. Talk about a freak show. Yeah, how do you guys feel about the meatloaf hand?
Chat is blowing up right now.
Chat's blowing up? Spooky meatloaf, yeah.
Somebody just posted a Super Meat Boy.
Aw,
Cute.
amazing. Oh yeah. That's really looking like a hand, right? Like this. Anybody familiar with the game Altered Beast? I think that was probably like the very first spooky game that I played, like as a kid on the Sega Genesis. And I don't know, when I was thinking about making this, all I could think about was, rise from your grave. And so yeah, this meatloaf currently rising from its grave. If you guys haven't played Altered Beast, it's definitely at least worth checking out. I'm gonna put the rest of this down here.
With you shaping it like that, is there anything people need to take in consideration making it at home because of the different thickness levels for baking?
You know, that's a really good question. And yes, these fingers, they're for like the kids that don't understand the difference between overcooked meatloaf and undercooked meatloaf and great meatloaf and whatever. These fingers are basically going to be like little treats. They're going to get overcooked. I don't care. It's going to be delicious. My dog is going to have the best day of her life. You know, whatever. If I have to sacrifice a few digits to make delicious Halloween meatloaf, I'm gonna do it.
Oh my gosh, somebody just said you should inject some of the glaze inside so when you cut it, it bleeds.
That person, whoever that was, you're hired. Next year.
Dan Sauce.
Dan
Good job,
Sauce.
Dan Sauce.
Oh, I know Dan Sauce. I know Dan Sauce. Yeah, Dan Sauce is a long time homie. Obviously, Dan Sauce is a food-minded person. All right. Look at that. Are you guys excited? I sure as heck am. Ew, cat fuzz. All right, moving on. So now we've got our egg wash. And what I'm going to do with this egg wash is hit it on the outside before it goes into that hot oven. That oven is a little too hot for your average meatloaf, but what I want it to do is work with this egg white real quick in order to make a super delicious crunchy crust on the outside. And I also think it's kind of cool if the egg washing gets like all over the place, because it's only going to make this, now you can see it, this tombstone shaped parchment paper look even more wicked and weird. Let's even do an experiment. I didn't even test this part, but let's just do a little experiment with the rest of the egg wash and see what happens. Now that we've got this guy pretty darn well coated, let's just take a finger of it up here and make a little R, then a little I, then a little P. We'll see if it comes out. I don't know that it will. You know, I've never used egg white as invisible ink, but something tells me we're going to be able to see that good guy on there. And if not, I'll just fill it in with ketchup later. Meatloaf, you're powered up. Get in there. Leave it to the gourd, you know? Leave it to the gourd to fall over. Unbelievable. Just wanted its time to shine. Meatloaf. The number 3 word of things that I want in a meatloaf, I think, is glaze, a delicious glaze. So now we're gonna mix up a delicious glaze. Let's grab one more little container. There we go. And let's freestyle a little glaze here. Let's see, we're gonna use ketchup, of course. We're gonna have a little umami fun with the Worcestershire. You know, that's got anchovies in it, so it's kind of like adding fish sauce, man. What else do we need? Let's get some honey out. Learned that from a homie out in Brown. And while I'm at it, let's get some instant coffee. And so with just these little things and of course a pinch of salt, we're gonna make a really sick glaze. Now, why coffee? That's because coffee is truly delicious with meat. I think it amps up the flavor. Meat generally turns brown. I have this theory, it's in my book, brown things kind of taste like brown things, which taste like brown things. You know, if I sold you a mushroom coffee walnut stout, you'd like, oh yeah, I totally believe that. Or if I sold you like caramel bread crust, you'd be like, oh yeah, I totally get it. Honey caramel bread crust with Worcestershire. Brown things taste like brown things. It's all because of roasting and the Maillard reaction. I'll probably mention that in every show because I'm such a huge fan. Now, as you can see, I've never used this brand of coffee before. I'm familiar with it. This is definitely like the Bodega brand in New York. So we'll see how it works. If anything, we'll all be up all night thinking about how great this meatloaf was. As I mentioned before, these things are really helpful because you can measure with them. I know that this is exactly 16 ounces, which is 2 cups. And so I'm going to start with about a half cup of ketchup. So that means about a quarter of this good guy. I don't know. Ketchup's pretty cool. And then we're going to add plenty of this. About like that. Oh man. I don't know. Worcestershire just makes my mouth like sweat. You like that? The mouth sweats. Honey. Honey is one of the most difficult things to measure. And that's simply because it's sticky. So I like to cheat and use a little bit of this cooking spray. Woo! Just like so. And let's see if it works. I don't measure honey as often as I should. Darling. But yeah, you can see that just slides right out. It's like a Bond girl's dress. Bye, honey. We're done with you. And now I can feel free to use this to measure other things if I had other things I wanted to measure. I'm going to start out with a, I don't know, scant teaspoon of this instant coffee. I'm going to stir it up and give it a little taste-a-roo. I don't want to use my special. This is my like very special spoon for tasting. What time is it? How are we doing on time? 9 o'clock. It's about where we should be. Hot diggity. All right. So as you can see, the instant coffee is slowly getting integrated in there and kind of dissolving with the wet works in there. Let's give it a taste. This is what I call the sanitary taste. That's pretty good. I could stand to have just a little more coffee. You know, if it's gonna be in there, it needs to be talking. Not whispering, not mumbling. It's coffee, you know? It's not lavender. Lavender can be just a whisper, a hint. Now let's amp it up just a little. Salderito. It's a tiny bit more. What's this here? And we'll give it a remix and we'll give it a retaste. And something tells me we're gonna be golden here. The honey, I yanked that from Alton, man. That's my dude. Honey is a good call in this because honey actually is very aromatic and floral, and so it kind of adds its own little herbaceous note. Honey, after all, comes from flowers. Game over. All right, I'm stoked on that. Let's retire these ingredients and let's drop the heat on this to 325 so we can kind of slow roast this meatloaf. Worcestershire sauce coming back, ketchup going back. We'll save that ketchup if we need to fix that RIP on there. Now, you'll notice that I don't really use oven mitts, and I don't use oven mitts for a reason. And that's because I think they're clumsy. So I'm gonna pull this guy out. Oh man, look at that. You see how that crust is already starting to form on there? That's the good news. Got our brush. Now let's make this the most zombified, messed up looking hand ever. Rise from your grave. You can see it's already kind of starting to set up on there. The reason I drop the temp right now when I'm doing the roast on here is I find that a lot of people will I'll get back on there. A lot of people will burn their sauces, and since there's so much sugar in this from the honey, you know, and from the ketchup, this guy can go too far too fast, and that's not going to happen now with the nice low temperature. I think right there in the well of his hand he should have plenty of blood. Based. Oh yeah. How's everybody feel about that? Bang. We're done there. Let's shove it back in. Now you're really powered up. Get in there. Sweet. We just made meatloaf. 'Cause I will do anything. Now where are we? Let's see. Let's check the little run of show over here. Oh man, I just like ran through it. I didn't even look at it. Hot diggity. Let's check our water. See how our water's doing. Oh man, that's boiling. You know what that means? It's time to blanch the beans. We're gonna grab a colander. Now this colander is specifically designed to fit inside of this. If you don't have a colander that does this, you could use a spider, you could use tongs, you could use a strainer, you could use a chinois. We'll talk about all those other things later. But for now, we're using this colander. Did this touch meat? No, it didn't touch meat. Did meat touch this? No, the meat did not touch this. Maybe they got a little egg wash on there, but I'm gonna boil all this anyway. All right, so with these haricots verts, some people would say, take all those strings off, but I'm not gonna take the strings off because they worked really hard to grow them, and frankly, they're quite edible. Let's find out. Not dead. We're gonna be just fine. 1 pound of haricot vert into the strainer. Now what we're gonna do is blanch them like a golden girl. Nailed it. All right, so now for this operation, I'm gonna need 2 towels. I got 2 towels. We're just gonna drop them in there for like, I don't know, a minute. So what we're doing is we're like fixing the color on these so that they stay super bright green while we're cooking them, because we're gonna cook them just a little further down the road. Yeah, go on in there, unclip your camera. That was a mighty good green bean, let me tell you. While that's working, I'm gonna get this dill going. I always get yelled at for how I manhandle herbs, but I don't care. I'm just gonna like rip that much out. Yep, you saw I just ripped it from the top, I don't care. And we'll put the rest in the fridge. Let's get out some butter while we're at it. Some buttermilk. and I don't know, some heavy cream. Get our wet works ready for our mashed potatoes. Those guys have been in there for just a few, and you can see that their color has increased dramatically. It's like somebody threw an Instagram filter on them. Look at that. Super green, super mean. I'm gonna shake that off. Great. Hold it over my towel, put this back on, and we're gonna bring that back up to a boil. And so right now, that water is multitasking for us in that, right now I'm using cold water, by the way, in order to shock these beans and stop the cooking process. And so that water is multitasking for us. We used it to blanch the water, and now we're about ready to use it on potatoes. Make sure these guys are good and cooled down. So I don't want any, all things that have water in them, i.e. plants, meats, etc. Anything that has water in it is going to be very conductive of heat. And so you really want to cool it down to make sure that it doesn't keep holding heat and continue cooking. Otherwise we'll have some wilty old green beans. Oh my God. So fresh, so clean. This is my smart microwave that knows when it's getting too hot. It makes too much noise and turns on, so I have to unplug it. Got a nice little bowl over here. We're gonna store these green beans in here until we're ready to cook them up. Like so. Pow, pow, pow. Gosh, does it get much better? I don't think so. I'm gonna give that a little rub down. Get the schmutz out of there. Stop, potato time. Do, 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 do. All right, so now it's potato time. I'm gonna peel these guys because I don't like their skins. And I'm just gonna cut these guys up. And then they're all gonna go live in the colander, and then we're gonna do the same thing with the potatoes, except they're gonna cook for a while. Wash and dry my peeler, and we will peel away. I think these potatoes might have gotten stored close to the sun because there's a little green underneath them, but that doesn't bother me any. I'm sure somebody's Googling, will green potatoes kill me? The answer, no. I'd wager like 3/4 of potatoes you probably ate in a restaurant were at one time green. Oh well, we're peeling potatoes. Anybody got any questions? Prison labor over here.
Did you have the Pikachu edition of the Nintendo? You had all the consoles?
No, thank you. Here's salt. Let me find a wound. No, I don't have the Hey You Pikachu edition of the N64, although I do know a dude who has it, and he's just like literally got a not for sale sign on it. I know that if I like rolled in there with a check, he would sell it to me. But yeah, he's holding on to it. Someday, maybe, like if this show takes off, you know. But right now, while I'm just like straight hustling, yeah, I gotta devote my funds to other things. And sadly, yeah, I don't know. I think I'd actually rather get a real copy of Earthbound before I got a copy, or before I got that system. I know that system is like the holy grail. But yeah, I don't sadly have the Pikachu. I don't want to think about that. Thanks a lot.
Do you have a favorite spice?
Oh man, that's a tough question.
I know, it's like asking about your favorite children.
Yeah, well, I definitely know my favorite child, and that's coriander. Coriander, I don't know. I love coriander. I like it fresh. I like it in its leaf form, also known as cilantro. I like it in its dry form. I like it in so many forms. And so I just think that that's cool. I wonder what coriander's final form would be. Probably cilantro. But yeah, I'm really, really into that. I think coriander, I don't know, there's just something that has so many flavors in it all at once that are fresh and elegant. I don't know, not that I'm fresh or elegant.
For people who hate cilantro, do you think mint is the best replacement in recipes?
I would use a combination of herbs to replace cilantro. Yeah, I would probably use mint, probably a little dill. You know, the thing about cilantro is only one thing tastes like cilantro. I'd maybe mix in some coriander and see if you can stomach it, because coriander obviously is the seed of cilantro, so there's going to be more of a parallel there. But yeah, I feel bad that a lot of people are like genetically not digging cilantro. That really bums me out. If I could write that in the world, I certainly would.
And do you have a favorite cuisine to cook?
I would say that my kitchen, in general, this kitchen leans towards a quasi-Japanese diet. I don't know why. I worked in a Japanese restaurant for a really long time, met my wife there. This is kind of how we roll. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to say. Oh, I'm cutting potatoes. I cut them in half a long way, and then I'm going to cut them into thirds about this way, and then we're going to mow through and cut them small this way. What else we got? Questions are fun, especially when you're in prison labor over here.
What's your favorite Nintendo character?
Ooh, that's really tough. You know, I don't know. For this, there are so many. I generally would refer to the Smash Brothers roster, and I would say that if I had to pick out of there, I'm not saying he's my main, but he's definitely my favorite, is probably Game & Watch. I just love that chef maneuver. Like, that was written for me. Yeah, I don't know. G&Dubs, you know, especially when he pulls out the 9, he's just so annoying. And when you win with him, you just feel like you're the king. I don't know. So yeah, I'd probably say Game & Watch. I used to have a Game & Watch when I was little. I don't have one anymore, but I got my eye on one at the pawn shop. All right, so now I'm mowing through these potatoes real fast. Pow, 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 pow. Ready?
So, are we cooking them to make them? I mean, are we cutting them to make them cook faster, or?
Yeah, we're cutting these potatoes to make them cook faster and more uniformly. I like to cut them in little small pieces like this. If I put a whole potato in there, it might take upwards of an hour to get done all the way through the center. Some people might say, hey, cut them this way. That's perfectly fine. Be my guest. Hell, you can brunoise them if you want. Not happening on my watch. Huh? Oh, gladly.
And someone just asked, have you traveled to the South?
The South, yeah, actually. I shot a show back there a while back. I was in, where was I? I was in Memphis. I was in Knoxville. I was in, what's that town in North Carolina? Asheville, man. Asheville's a wicked town. Charlotte's a wicked town. I like all those places, man. I was actually in Atlanta the day I got cast on Food Network Star. I was in Atlanta, oddly enough, on Halloween. Wow, like 5 years ago. So yeah, I met Alton Brown, 5 years ago? Yesterday. Wow. With every new beginning, there's another, wait, what's that semisonic lyric? Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. Yeah.
Closing time.
Closing time.
That's right, closing time.
All right, look at that. We just mowed through all those potatoes. Now we're going to do the same with these good guys. Let's check our water and see if it's back up. Oh man, is it back up? I think we're going to do these good guys in thirds too. Yeah, sorry, potato cutting's pretty boring, but that's all right. Everybody's going to do it.
Did you enjoy the game Cooking Mama?
Dude, I loved Cooking Mama. I want to say it was on the DS before it was on anything else, but man, when Cooking Mama was on Wii, like I learned about Mapo tofu. I was living in Denver at the time, and so like I hadn't really seen the world. And I learned about Mapo tofu from Cooking Mama, and that was like the coolest experience of my life. Like to know that like a cuisine that everybody digs and that is like world renowned, I could learn about in a video game. I loved it, and it's also, that game is like really well informed and well researched, which is great. There've been a couple like, I don't know, I'm not gonna say the best, but there've been some good cooking simulators in the works for VR that I've seen. Hey, thank you. But yeah, I think that the genre of cooking game has a lot more to go, and that's because honestly, like when you're doing potatoes, you know, it's like grinding. You know, this is like trying to find like a bunch of cactrots, you know, out in the desert or something like that. And you're just trying to like level up these potatoes. I feel like, you know, I'm just trying to get them to where they need to be so that they can play the last level in boiling water. But we're gonna make short work of these good guys.
Do you have a favorite horror game?
A favorite what?
Horror game.
Scary game.
Oh yeah, I would have to say Eternal Darkness. I love that game. I don't know, I really love I never played the Resident Evil games because I was underprivileged, but I'll tell you what, the Resident Evil movies are freaking awesome. I'm basically doing that like laser scene to these potatoes right now. Boom, security guard just fell apart. You seen those movies? Oh man. If you want to learn how to cut nice potatoes, you watch Resident Evil movie. Lately, you know, and this is going to really ruffle some feathers, but I really love Zombie U. I thought that was a great game. It really reminded me of one of my favorite movies, 28 Days Later. That was pretty dope. I don't know, but the thing I liked about Eternal Darkness was like it kind of made you question your sanity a little bit. I think a game like that in VR would be absolutely sick. Yeah, who knows? Horror games. I don't know, even like growing up, I was never really exposed to horror that much. But I can get behind it. I know like a lot of my peers and my friends are totally into it. Like you ask me almost any movie and I haven't seen it. That's what's really horrifying is that like up until this year, I haven't seen Goonies.
You just saw Goonies?
Yeah, I just saw Goonies for the first time and I ended up interviewing Chunk. Like oddly enough in the same year, yeah man. Chunk, I hope you're watching. Yeah, Chunk is a really like well-to-do entertainment lawyer now, and I had him on my podcast. Can you believe that? We only talked about Baby Ruths and Truffle Shuffles once. Okay, so now that we've got these potatoes done, we're gonna go into the boiling water. Oh man, looks like we need a little more water. Well, we're just gonna have to do it. Okay. Could you imagine if this was like a non-Twitch show? The world would be over and they'd have to stop the presses and like, oh my God, there's not enough water in there. What are we gonna do? Oh yeah. They'll swim around just fine in there. Deal with it. Moving on. They're just gonna sit in there like that. What have we left to do? Gosh dingy dang, not much. Looks like we're gonna make some potato liquid. Really appetizing name. But yeah, that's what's next. So let's, without further ado, make some potato liquid. Heck, and let's just bring the rest of the tools that we're gonna need to this party. This is gonna be the good guy that we use to cook our beans. This is gonna be the implement that we use to mash for the potatoes. We can take a moment on this, actually. I've seen people mash potatoes in the stand mixer. I've seen people do them in like a food processor. That's a horrible, horrible idea. I've seen people use a ricer. I've seen people use a food mill. Myself, personal, I like these guys. I feel like this is perfectly ununiform and uniform all at once. It's uniform and it's ununiformity. And what I also really dig about it is that you really gotta mash the potatoes. It's not that hard, and the reward is freaking mashed potatoes. So why don't you just put some like elbow grease into it, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, criminy. Let's get out a measuring cup. I really hate using a recipe for mashed potatoes. Normally I like to freestyle these, but you know, since you can repeat this at home, or hopefully you're doing it with me, we can do 3/4 of a cup of buttermilk. Why buttermilk? Well, let's taste it, and let's talk about what we taste in buttermilk. Right off the bat, you taste acid. It's sour. It's like adding sour cream, but without adding sour cream. It's like adding lemons, but without adding lemons. It's like adding vinegar, but without adding vinegar. So this is kind of like almost a creamy vinaigrette. I know that sounds weird, but buttermilk is basically drinkable, instant, creamy vinaigrette. And it's amazing. If I could prescribe anything to be used in the home kitchen, it would be buttermilk. Buttermilk is great. All right, now we're gonna use some heavy cream. I don't know. Somebody said 1/4 cup, but I'm gonna go a little more than that. I love heavy cream. If you shook this, and shook it and shook it and shook it, you'd have hipster butter. Artisanal butter that you made yourself. Actually, when I got my first show on TV, I made all my own butter by churning heavy cream. People thought I was insane. I was. But we won with our homemade butters. Get all that good stuff back in the fridgeroo. Now, I don't know. I was debating like whether or not to put butter in this, and then I realized, yeah, we're gonna put some butter in this. Because why wouldn't I? How much butter do you think? Like 2 pats?
Yeah.
2
Yeah,
pats?
2 pats.
You can always add more. You should always top mashed potatoes with butter.
Yeah, I can always add more. All right, let's do 2 pats. That's about 2 pats, right?
2 hearty pats.
All right, and now we're gonna add our garlic. So basically with this, we're gonna kind of like make like creamy garlic vinaigrette tea, if you will. Which is kind of gross, but in sounding, but it's gonna be freaking delicious when we get a hold of it here. Especially when all of that hangs out with this provolone. Provolone, probably one of the most boring cheeses, but definitely one of the most gratifying in terms of like the cheese factor. Would you say, I mean, Jen, Kelsey, you both have plenty of experience in cheese. Would you say that provolone is like by far one of the stringiest, most cheese porniest of cheese?
I think it's a good way of upping your game for mozzarella. Instead of relying on that, it's something just a little different.
It's not as watery as mozzarella, doesn't have as much whey in it still, but it has such a good string, elasticity.
Good cheesy.
Uh,
The essence of cheesy.
Some people call it the cheese pull.
Yes.
You know, it's got a good pull to it, you know?
Alright.
Whatever. I'm gonna get about, I don't know, 6 of these guys out. Provolone. Some people are like, why don't you slice it yourself? And well, that's because I'm never going to be able to slice it this thin unless I use that deli slicer over there. But the average home cook doesn't have a deli slicer, so we make the deli do it for us. 6. I don't know why 6. I made these mashed potatoes with this provolone on a competitive show once. Actually, I beat this guy, which I really didn't want to do. That's Ron Ben Israel. I love him so much. He made my wedding cake for me. Really great guy. He's a sweet genius. But yeah, I made these mashed potatoes with the provolone, and it whooped his mashed potatoes. And I felt bad about it for a little bit, but then I realized that I won the show, so moving on. And he was still nice enough to make the wedding cake for me. All right, so now it's shallot time. You guessed it. More cutting and dicing. I've literally got this guy in the back burner. You know, just kind of hanging out, just kind of stewing. I don't want it to get too hot, just enough to melt that butter and turn those garlics quasi-cooked. This water is coming back up to temp. Looks like we're almost ahead of schedule. Let's check on this meatloaf, see what we're up to here. Oh man, you're looking good. So you guessed it, with the shallots, got my eye on you, we're gonna do more of the same style cut. Except I should have cut this top off first. If for some reason you can find peeled shallots or even pre-diced shallots, now I'm not going to judge you because this is one of the most annoying things.
Just want to share a gem from Tracy Good. Why is the pro alone?
Especially on Halloween.
And Tracy Good is actually my mom.
Oh, wait, Tracy Good is your mom? Your mom is watching?
My
Hi,
mom is totally watching. My mom is maybe one of your biggest fans.
Wow, well, tell your mom that I applaud her in her technological savvy. I was like, yo, Mom, you can watch this on your phone. And she's like, what phone? I was like, oh, all right. Well, that's all right. Actually, my mom's going to be making an appearance televised sooner or later. You'll see it, and it'll be wild. But, yeah, man, I had a wild time with my mom cooking with her. You'll see. We'll get there. Shallot's like literally one of the most annoying things to peel. But I don't know, you could be like the kind of person that's into peeling things. Like I love peeling paint or chipping ice off a windshield. Nothing is more gratifying to me than that. I don't know why.
See, when shallots keep for so long that if you find the big ones in the stores, I stock up, I fry, thinly slice and fry at least 2 cups because they go good on anything.
Yeah, I think that honestly shallots, would you say that shallots are like the best allium?
Yeah.
I don't know. I personally think so. Green onions might be up there in that you can use them super fresh and they're not going to be super offensive. But for me, I mean, the shallot is just, it's everything.
You know that trick about growing green onions again after you cut them, right?
You know, I hate that trick.
Why's that?
I know that it works for some people, but I don't have a green thumb, like notoriously. And every time I try and grow the scallions, I don't know, they just make really gross water and never really...
You just change it for the first 3 days and then you're good.
Change it for the first 3 days and then you're good. Well, you learn something new every day. Isn't that right, Jabanian? Cute little guy up there. All right, we're almost done with these shallots. Someday I think that when I'm dead and gone, we can talk about more things since it's Halloween. When I'm dead and gone, I'll just be placed next to a pile of shallots and I'll look at all that I've accomplished in life. It'll be all the shallots that I've cut, which is a lot. When I was running this restaurant, man, oh my God, so many shallots. It was like a day. Like, you got scheduled on shallot day. That's definitely the day, the pinnacle to call in sick. All right, same old with the shallots here. But I'm gonna blast through these. Hey, my track lighting fell down. Must be getting warm in here. Well, that's what happens when you buy your own track lighting. Let's use it to illuminate the book. Nice. Killing it.
Where can you get that book?
You can get that book wherever fine books are sold. But I don't know. I heard that the parent company of this here Twitch might have a pretty good deal on it right now. Just saying. Uh-oh, I forgot to cut it this way. But that's okay. Don't worry too much. It seems I may have over-purchased shallots, but that's all right. Now that I've already got them cut, I'll probably use them on those chilaquiles that I plan on making with that extra ground beef tomorrow. We'll see. But hey, for the record, that's just what we're making for breakfast. You can see that tomorrow we're going to be making some ripping fresh pasta with clams. One of my kind of like favorite, like, I don't know, like in New York, there's this neighborhood, Bay Ridge. It's like still full of Italians. It's not Little Italy. It's like very second gen, I would say. It's a super cool neighborhood. Still a lot of like mom and pop, grandma started Italian joints there. And like that's definitely the kind of thing that you would get there. And I just love that idea. We're gonna do like 2 more of these and then we're gonna call it a day on the rest. How about that? Sorry if I made you overbuy shallots. These guys are like super tubular. Does everybody feel good on cutting alliums? I'm probably gonna have to go over cutting alliums in every episode because I feel like it's such a nice rudimentary thing to learn, and I feel like you can never get too good at cutting up your alliums. Everybody familiar with alliums? Things in like the onion family? Great. We can wash this. We can wash this. Now we're, let's see. It's time to get these beans ready to roll. Let's check on these potatoes, see how that water's doing. Water's definitely at a boil. Glasses are totally fogging up. Some people might say, Justin, are they too crowded in there? Maybe. Deal with it. They'll be all right. This guy's sizzling. Butter's melting, starting to get a little foamy. I'm probably going to turn the heat down on that. All right, you see how like slowly all of our mise en place is disappearing, and lo and behold, we don't have a huge sink of dishes. This is great. I'm really excited about this. Just don't get a close-up of the floor, all right? That's all right, we got a broom and a dog that'll take care of all of that very soon. All right, so let's get these shallots going. We're gonna use a little olive oil. A little olive oil. Isn't that cute? It's actually like a bendy action figure that I added to the olive oil thing because my wife couldn't tell which was the olive oil and which was the vegetable oil. I told her to taste it, but she didn't really like the idea of eating the oil, so I added the olive oil to the olive oil. That really makes me happy. She'll be making an appearance all the time. Oh, I need a little more butter. Did I put the butter away? Damn, I did. I don't know. Like so? Some people say that doing olive oil and butter together is like good in terms of temperature, as like one keeps the other from burning, because both of them can burn. But here's my thing. I think they both impart different flavors. To me, it's not about cook temperature, speed, time, anything like that. Olive oil, frankly, tastes greener and more herbaceous than butter. So I like to use both. Look, we're using this green thing. I want to complement it with the butter, and I want to kind of be in the same vein as all those green things with the olive oil. I mean, honestly, we're using animal fat versus plant fat, right? So once that butter melts, our good guy shallots are going to go in there. We can dice up the rest of this.
What kind of pan do you have the olive oil in right now?
Right now, I have that in a high-sided stainless steel. There's really nothing special to it. I don't spend a lot of money on pans. I will spend a lot of money on good knives. I'll spend a lot of money on good gear. You know, like a potato masher that's going to work for a lifetime. I've got this on about medium-high heat. I don't know. It's number 5. I think all these things are different. You can see the flame right there. So we're going to get that swirling around and melty. And then our shallots are going to go in. And then our beans are going to go in. And then we're gonna pull out the meatloaf, let it rest. We're gonna have a good old time. Let's prepare a landing strip for our meatloaf. We're gonna need to have a trivet. I got another trivet somewhere. Let's see. No. Oh yes, I do. Lo and behold, double trivet action. And let's place a tertiary trivet where we're about to eat, because we are coming down the home stretch. Excited about that?
So excited.
Great. Butter and olive oil coming together. I wish every burner could be the quick burner boil burner. It's never going to be the case though. Once again, we'll use this guy, the bench scraper, to work this stuff off of here. It's getting foamy. We'll add these. Shallots deliciousness. All right, now I'm gonna, while those are cooking up just a little, let's go check this meatloaf. I think we're just about done on there.
I have a question. Why do you think a good pan is as important? Don't they distribute the heat better?
You know, they do. But I start with stainless steel. I think stainless steel is the best home pan for your budget. I'm not gonna cook with copper in my home. I'm sorry, maybe if I win the lottery. I just don't think that amount of heat distribution is necessary. When I want super heat distribution, I'll use my cast iron, I'll use my cast enamel. But I think for these kind of run-of-the-mill applications, I really think that stainless steel is the way to go. Turning this heat down a little bit as these guys start to sizzle. Give these the old chef toss. If you don't know how to do the chef toss, chill and just use a spatula, everything will be just fine. Oh yeah. Rise from your grave. I'm really excited about this. Look at them apples. You can see that plenty of the meatloaf has started to kind of seep out of the side. That's a good sign. That means that the internal of this is starting to move around and push juices towards the outside. Our RIP didn't really show up. That's all right. I'll just hit it with a marker or some ketchup or something in a minute. Shallots are going. We want them to just kind of approach translucency. Let's check the potatoes for doneness. It's very important that before we get into this meatloaf, we let it rest, because right now all of those juices are like cruising. They're going nuts in there. And if we cut it open, they'll all rush out. We want them to calm down, take a nap, relax. And that way when we cut into it, the juices have settled. Just to illustrate the point, but also for food safety purposes, let's check the internal temp on this good guy. Sadly, we don't have the budget yet to have an instant read thermometer, but all you fancy people that are doing subscribing and keeping the lights on, well, you'll get us there. Oh yeah. So we're cruising around 140 on this, and if you look on this hole here, you'll see juices coming out. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm stoked on this. How are shallots doing? Good? Just about. All right, let's add a little bit of salt to the shallots. And let's test the potatoes. A little salt right there. Let's test these potatoes, see where we're at with them. If I can crush it with these tongs just like that, we're probably going to be good to go. Look at that, falling apart. We'll keep an eye on those shallots. But for now, we're going to do something real dangerous. And we're going to move this over here.
Oh, and Vader's keeping the lights on.
Really?
Hi.
Oh my gosh, thanks for keeping the lights on. Look at my dabs. Amazing. Thank you so much. Maybe we can get an instant read thermometer. You hear that, people in the back? All right. So these potatoes are piping hot. The ones even on the top that were barely covered in water are falling apart. This is all a very good sign. And man, does this smell so gosh darn potato-y. I'm loving it. Set this over here. I'm gonna turn off the heat on these here scallions, or not scallions, shallots. Turn off the heat over here. Set this aside. So now almost everything is in the rest phase. In a restaurant, we would call this the pickup. Everything's ready to be picked up and plated. Goodbye, starchy water. You are awesome, but we're not using you anymore. I'm gonna give this a quick rinse. I still want this thing to stay hot. Now, over here, we're gonna make some mashed potatoes. Potatoes, bang. Why you gotta be starchy, potatoes? There we go. Look at this, like so minimal dishes to do. I'm very excited about this. Now, let's come back here and give this a quick slice so that it's not all over the map once we integrate it with those hot potatoes. I'm actually like so excited and giddy that this is all coming together. I'm like salivating. Oh my God, look at this. Dan Sauce, thank you for keeping the lights on. Check out my dabs. Oh my God. If you're just tuning in, well, that's a dab. It's an actual fish that you can get that is really tasty. It's kind of like in the flounder halibut family, like the look on Picasso, or their eyes are on the side of their face. We call those flat fishes.
Someone said that should be our next emoticon.
Oh yeah? The dabs? Oh heck yeah, all right.
And salt pig.
And salt pig, I'm into it. Oh man, I'm so excited. Thanks for keeping the lights on, guys. All right, so our potatoes are there, our cheese is going in. Now we're gonna add our wet works, just a little at a time, while we start to mash. Look at all of that goodness. Oh boy. You know what, I'm just gonna add this whole darn thing. I'll keep a little off to the side, but not a ton. I can always make more. Look, you can already see that, look, we're already getting cheesy, delicious goodness. And you see how quick these are mashing? Like this is turning into mashed potatoes in no time at all.
Now, why did you peel the russets but not the red potatoes?
You know, I'll tell you why I peeled the russets but not the red potatoes, is that in these potatoes, the skins of the red potatoes are thinner and they have a more elegant and dainty texture, if you must know. And so, that's why I kept the skins of the red potatoes. Also, they're really good for color as they stay red the entire time versus the russets, which kind of just have like a dirty old brown color. Oh my God, look at that. That'll make anybody rise from their grave. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. What do you think? You think these are mashed potatoes, or they're super fluffy and light? Do you think we should add the rest of this liquid? Why not? It's just butter, right? Not gonna hurt anybody. Oh man, I'm so stoked. Look at that. Mashed potatoes, done. Drop the mic on that. We need to season them just a little bit.
Salt pig.
Salt pig back on the scene. My dude. These are another thing that can use plenty of salt. This is where we start to use the good tasting spoon. This is a Grey Coon spoon. This is the kind of spoon that another chef has to give you. You can't just go out and buy yourself a Grey Coon spoon. Maybe you'll be able to get a Justin Warner spoon someday. Shall we taste? More salt. Oh man, these are so fluffy and elegant and so cheesy and lovely. We're doing great. All right, now we're gonna let these relax for just a second. We're gonna quick finish those beans, and then we're gonna start plating it up. Get that hot again. This meatloaf, resting, still warm. I feel like maybe I should blast that under the broiler for just a second to crisp up that top. Let's do it.
We got time.
We do got time, don't we? Let's do it. Like rockapella. Once this oil starts bubbling again, which it's doing, we're gonna add these green beans. Now I don't want to crowd the pan on these good guys, so maybe I'm not gonna use all these beans, but that's fine. Blanched beans are gonna stay great in the fridge. I really just want to get these colored. You know, the problem is if you crowd your pan full of things that are are wet and green and full of wetness, they're going to steam as opposed to blister, and I want them to blister. If you've ever seen Julia and Julia, or whatever the heck that movie is, one of the first things they tell you is about crowding mushrooms in a pan. Let's get just a little color on them. Wait for the, oh man, they're looking good. That one's for the dog. We'll wait for the broiler to heat up. Make sure all that good shallot oil and butter gets on top of these guys. So here we're kind of stir frying a little bit. Maybe those shallots are getting a little brown, but sue me. You know, shallots aren't like garlic, you know, they're not going to burn and blow your brains out. You can already see that the pan is considerably less crowded than it was before, and that's because we're starting to lose some water weight in these guys. Behold, the famous Brooklyn floor broiler. Absolutely the worst invention ever. Hate it.
I think we got another dab.
Are you serious? Thank you so much. Don't do it when my back's to you or I won't see it.
Blueberry.
Blueberry.
Keeping it up, fam.
Thank you so much. Dill's going in. You're powered up. Get in there. Dill's gonna add some sweetness and some freshness and a little mintiness. Gonna hit those with just a little more salt to seal it a deal. Call it a day. Is anybody worried about that parchment paper in the broiler? Not me.
Give it that antiqued weather look.
Huh?
It's gonna give it that antiqued weather look, you know?
Right? Oh man, yeah, we're doing great. 2 more minutes in there and we're gonna call it a day. Any questions as we approach plating? Shall we set the table? Hot diggity. Maybe we can keep one laptop open just so we can keep open the lines of communication. Oh man, I'm getting so excited, I'm just throwing stuff everywhere. Oh yeah. Now, this final maneuver, as I take the meatloaf out of the floor broiler, this is where you hate doing things live, because if I drop it, it's game over. Cut the heat on those guys. Now we're going to plate this up most masterfully. Come on, potatoes. You're going to be the ground. Oh yeah. You guys picking up what I'm throwing down here? Make sure that you can see that this guy at one time had a wrist on that meaty hand of his. Now let's grab some tongs. Let's put some little sprigs of grass here. Poor guy. Oh man, it looks so awesome. Just one little hand popping up out of the grass, the green bean grass. Pardon me, the haricot vert grass. Hey Meatloaf, get off my lawn. You think I'm Bob Ross? Do you think I'm the culinary Bob Ross? I don't know. I don't know that I can wear that just yet. It's only day one. Oh man. We have but one thing left to do.
Oh my god.
If only I had a mic, I would drop it. Rise from your grave.
Potatoes versus zombies.
Guys, we just made Halloween dinner. Right? Raw ingredients to dinner in what? What are we at? Yeah, an hour and 45 minutes. Let's get something to cut this up and dive in. I'm gonna use a fish spat. Yeah, I'm gonna take a picture of that myself. I'm so excited. Japan fell down.
Social media.
I know, right? Man, I'm so flippin' excited. How about that? I'm stoked. I mean, I knew it was gonna come out like this, but I don't know. Hey, here, I'll sit on my face. That way you don't have to.
Oh no.
All right. Can I dish you up?
Absolutely,
Yes.
please.
We gotta eat the fingers first, right?
Yeah, no, hey.
Cool. You got a little something right here, by the way.
Yeah, thank
Just
you,
kidding.
thank you.
How many times did you get that on the train today?
So many times. I'm actually surprised how many people were nice to like wanted to tell me.
Really?
Yeah.
Aw.
People in the chat were worried about you, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, guys.
But then they became obsessed with the curls that started escaping with the steam.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. That happens, man. Whatever. Get used to it. You know, everything that is done will also be undone. Look at that. And look how easy we like plated that up and...
You're meat and two veg.
Right?
there.
A finger for you?
That is a very generous finger of meat.
Well, that's the thumb. That's what sets us apart.
Oh man, still a little pink right there in the center. I'm stoked.
Oh, yes. Give me that. Potato. Potato.
Will there be a ChefShock Instagram?
Will there be a ChefShock Instagram? I don't know. We got to get on that. You know, right now I've got so many social medias running that it's a little intense for me. But, you know, maybe we'll find us a good intern and we'll see how it goes. Who knows? Yeah, I'd love for there to be a ChefShock intern. We got to at least take pictures of all the dishes that we make and whatnot. You know, leave it to Chef. Chef always eats like the worst looking plate. I should eat this in a quart container.
That's actually what I was just about to say.
Yeah, right?
Standing up or crouched down against the low boy.
Man, I just want to like lean back over the keg here and have a little funnel. Shall we taste and talk about things?
Yes,
Certainly
we
one of my
shall.
favorite parts of any show.
I will be leaving the
Where's
chat
my, is
here.
that my A camera right now?
Right here? Look.
Ah. Tasting and talking about things. Happy Halloween, everybody.
Yeah, happy Halloween indeed.
Thanks for hanging out with me. Thank you all for hanging out with me. I'm really stoked about all this. Be careful, the mashed potatoes might be hot.
Bit of onion. See, I don't see why I didn't grow up with this. This is delicious.
Even I am pleased. You know, generally the chef, they hate what they create. You know, sometimes you get so married to the damn thing, you're ready for a divorce by the end of it. But this, not so. I'll tell you what, even all you people here lurking in the sides, just smiling and quietly nodding when I do things right, you can have some too. You might enjoy it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the beans. How do you feel about them?
Let's see. They're so crispy.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
But not undone.
Yeah. You guys hear that?
And do it into the mic.
Oh yeah, I'm right by the mic.
Yeah, we got some Asmer fans on this chat.
From what?
Asmer?
Great. I know about this, which is kind of cool. I don't know if I'm an asthma person or not. I think I want to be, so I kind of pretend, but I really don't think I am.
You got a little dill.
Oh, I got a little dill?
Other ones.
Other side.
Well, anyway.
So beautiful, you guys.
You guys feel good about, look at these poor two mangled fingers.
Excellent.
It's a peace sign.
Mm-hmm.
We made it into an emoji.
Anyway, I hereby call this dish Altered Beast Loaf. And I'm really excited that everybody could hang out and watch us make it today here on Halloween. Tomorrow, you should definitely tune in. We're going to be making fresh pasta. We're going to be making linguine. We got a secret twist on the linguine, which I don't think anybody's done before. We're going to make it from scratch, of course. We're going to add some clams. We're going to do some broccoli rabe, or broccoli Robert when he's in trouble. Well, let's see what else. I think that's it. We got some cool stuff down the road in the week. Tuesday is Tricked Out Tuesday. So we always teach an advanced technique on Tuesday. Friday is Friday Fly Day, so we'll fly your palate to another country. This week it's Korea, South Korea. And we're going to be making bibimbap in a cast iron skillet because we don't have stone bowls to go around for everyone. I do have one up there, though, somewhere. But yeah, this is it. Anybody got any questions before we wrap it up?
Subscribe.
Oh, hey, guys. Subscribe. Thank you. You know, actually, now that Twitch Prime is out and now that this show is out, this is actually like the perfect thing. Everybody's been tweeting me, hitting me up, saying, hey, look, man, I didn't know where to throw my free Twitch Prime subscribe, and I just happen to be holding a giant catching mitt. So thank you for that. Subscribe away.
I'd say this was a successful Meaty Monday.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, there's enough meat here that everyone can have plenty of meat.
It's hearty, but it's got a nice acidity and sweetness, so it's not heavy.
Right? Somewhat balanced. Disturbing, right?
I don't taste the coffee.
You don't taste the coffee?
Really? I mean, it doesn't bother me.
Let
I
me
usually don't drink coffee.
Let me find out.
I mean, it blends well together.
Yeah?
What I meant.
It's not appalling?
It's not appalling, and I usually hate coffee.
Wow. If you really think on it, like if you try this versus this, then you'll be like, oh man, he did something.
I don't think I would have been able to pick it up.
They're worried about you, Ben. They want to make sure you're going to get yours, too.
I'm good.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you want to see, I'll plate it up for him. I might have to use a bowl because I only have 3 plates. But heck yeah, I'll plate you up. Will you eat Meatloaf? Notoriously picky eater behind the camera.
I'll eat the things that aren't meatloaf.
You'll eat the things that aren't Meatloaf. All right,
This
sweetie.
is going to be a long week.
That's all right. Maybe we can use this. Maybe we can use this week to convert Ben, the cameraman, away from.
Yeah.
I mean, you're like a fan favorite here, Ben. There's already the hashtag
They kept
Ben
saying-
Lives Matter.
They kept saying hi to you every time you're on the screen. All right, we got a mission. New show concept. New show
Right.
concept. Convert Ben.
And the fact that you're a picky eater makes
Can I
you
just tell you
even
how
more
Sam
popular.
looks?
What do you mean? You're the one who doesn't want the meatloaf, dude. Love you and all, but as they say, choosers can't be beggars.
Delicioso.
Man, the Twitter is lit up. Oh my gosh! Look, somebody just posted a picture of the loaf. Oh man. Man, people are lighting me up. I'm really glad everybody's enjoying themselves. This is awesome. I'll tell you the best thing too is that we get food. So, you know, subscribe, cook along. The ingredients for tomorrow, aside from clams, are really easy to get. In terms of technical gear, we're going to do a pasta roller, but you can do that with a rolling pin if you got patience. All in all, yeah, Tuesdays are going to be the day for specialty techniques, and the rest of the stuff is pretty easy to secure all week long. You know, not tooting our parent company's horn here, but especially with Amazon, you can get almost any kind of specialty grocer item. Like we're going to use gochujang and sesame oil on Friday. Yeah, all those things you can find on Amazon, and certainly at any like local specialty store if you're into it. Well, I think that about wraps things up. We got any more questions? Everybody hunky-dory in the chat?
Yep, everyone's just waiting on Ben to eat and drive for good. It says it looks great.
It's good, the parts that I ate.
Do you guys want to see a close-up of the inside of the meatloaf? See the chunks of the carrot.
Oh, we got to switch cameras.
Oh.
He's going to do it. There you go.
Oh, is it this one?
Yeah, look at that.
Side of my meatloaf.
You like the decal here? Thanks to you folks who are keeping the lights on, I won't have to print these out at 8 in the morning. That's you guys. All right, well, I think that concludes this very first episode of ChefShock. Thanks for bearing with us. It really actually kind of went off without a hitch. And come back tomorrow, subscribe, hang out. Thanks for following, and thanks for tuning in. Oh man, crumple it up.